I hate Christmas.
It's evil and over-commercialized, being a shining monument to hypocrisy all over the world. Even in non-Christian countries that don't celebrate it. I don't know how that's possible, but they found a way. That being said, there are some good fairy tales that have come out of Christmas, like Rudolph, Frosty, even Scrooge. They really tell about the joys of being alive and how you can change yourself for the better of all those around you. That's part of why I think Christmas is so popular. It tells good stories that remind people there's something worth getting up for on Christmas morn. And those stories were taken advantage of. One of my favorite stories that incidentally takes place on Christmas is Superman, Peace on Earth. I hesitate to call it a comic book, and I might even say that it's a true graphic novel, as it predominantly uses pictures with a few word captions on top of its pages. Really, it's like a children's picture book. Still, it deals with the very adult theme of Superman in the real world. The Big Blue Boy Scout decides he wants to do something about world hunger, and so gathers together an ocean tanker full of food, which he will distribute to people all over the world. He's greeted with sunshine and smiles in many places, though in others people go into a frenzy and end up hurting each other trying to get to the supplies. He even visits dictatorships where the militant leaders refuse to allow him to distribute the food. He reasons that he could force them to take it, but in the end decides the poor people will be killed anyway. He visits one dictatorship and they blow up the tanker of food he was carrying, denying not only their own people, but everyone else he was going to bring it to. Superman fails in his mission, but realizes what the true error of his ways is. Simply put, give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime. It ends on a particularly powerful note, with Clark Kent teaching a class of young children how to farm, throwing a handful of grain into a field. He remarks, "Not every seed will make it, but they all deserve the chance." See, that's how you do Superman right. It's a hell of a lot better than some people. Ahem. Superman fails not because he was stupid, but because his hands were tied. He couldn't simply use his fists or heat vision to solve the issue. The greater subtext is in the fact that Superman doesn't exist and that people wouldn't expect magic men to descend out of the sky. People need to work hard and work together, listening to words of wisdom rather than brute force and strength. Don't forget also, Superman is often compared to Jesus Christ, which proves this is a Christmas story. This was written by Paul Dini, the mastermind behind the Batman animated series and one of my favorite comic book writers. He also wrote the first two Batman Arkham games and didn't come in for the third one, which I accurately predicted it would suck because of this. He's able to imbue a sense of humanity and emotion in these absurd characters, and there's just something about the way he writes that makes it jump off the page. I think it's his simplicity. And in a much more literal sense, he's also one of the greatest comic book writers. It was drawn by Alex Ross, who is known for his photorealistic paintings of these characters. If there had been anyone else, these stories wouldn't have half the power they do. Look at him. He's almost like Norman Rockwell, infusing that innocence in his paintings, that sense of wonder. They're coming off the heels of Ross's previous success, Kingdom Come, wherein he was able to infuse a more dynamic sense with his art style. In fact, he does that in just about every book he works on, even if the book itself doesn't warrant it. Of course, this wasn't in the end, and they went on to do more books highlighting all their favorite heroes. After doing Superman, the next logical step was Batman. War on Crime was their comment on street violence and youth gangs. Batman encounters a young boy and realizes he is just lost in life and isn't a bad person at heart. He risks his life trying to point out the good in people, and the kid turns himself around in the end. This is mirrored by Bruce Wayne in negotiations with another billionaire who wants to remove the poor end of Gotham and turn it into a shopping mall. Bruce Wayne manages to maneuver around this and save the poor side, where he believes that even though criminals stalk there, he can invest money and give them an edge in life. Also, the other billionaire did some shady dealings and goes to jail. This seems to converge with the Superman aspect about helping people to save themselves rather than just beating up street thugs. That ain't gonna solve the problem. They next move on to Captain Marvel. The wizard Shazam tells the Big Red Cheese that a special child needs his help. Billy Batson gets word that Captain Marvel has been invited to a hospital full of sick children, and he plays around with them, showing them around to cool parts of the world and giving them hope where they had none. He meets a kid in a wheelchair, and if that wasn't bad enough, the kid's father abuses him. Captain Marvel thinks that this is the child in question, but soon realizes the error of his ways. It was Billy Batson himself who had given up hope, and that by reconnecting with other kids could he regain that hope. I think it's supposed to show how we can't forsake that innocence that's within all of us. Next they did Wonder Woman. Oh yeah! In this one, she's going around doing wonderful, superheroic things and kicks some serious ass. She saves a young woman in the Middle East from a tank, but the woman claims the Amazon isn't one of us. She's just an alien, like Superman. Diana goes undercover, dressed in an ABBA, trying to learn more about the world she lives in. She intervenes and saves a group of women from being used as human shields, and reveals herself in an epic shot. A leggy shot. Good for her, I guess. This is the one I feel the least about. I guess it's supposed to be about how she feels better about herself, or about how leaders are too disconnected to their populace, or how women don't feel pretty, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a women's issue. Lastly, they took on the whole Justice League of America. Told from the perspective of one of my favorite heroes, the Martian Manhunter. It tells of a strange virus in Africa that's leaving people awake in comatose bodies. The Justice League fight for a way to save all the people, while the rest of the world just wants to bomb the site and kill everyone, and hopefully the virus too. They don't want to trust the superheroes because they've messed up in the past. Naturally, the heroes save the day and have to give a speech at the end. At first it appears as if Superman is giving it, but is soon revealed to be Ja'an's, his alien appearance frightening the people there. He gives a moving speech about the nature of trust and how their power truly stems from the trust of the people. I interpret this as about how governments need to earn trust with people instead of playing them for fools like they naturally do. So that's it. 5 excellent comic books that really redefine what the medium can be and prove that even superheroes can be for adults, if done well. See, not everything has to be dark and moody. You can convey complex ideas or adult themes in the simplest of ways, and that's really something that seems to be lacking in comics today. I hope the companies let go of their stranglehold and the authors can flourish as they see fit. Well, that's my last video for the year. It's been a good year for me. I hope it has for you too. I had a blast with all the Godzilla videos and getting my book chats and things off the ground, and I hope to see you back. Happy holidays and have a great new year.